Well, hello. It's Andrea Goeglein. This is a really old picture. Uh 10 years old picture. But you got a copy of this for free when you signed up to the 2025 Unicorn Big Gold Ageless Edge. I use the words all over the place because the work that I work in, it really doesn't matter how old you are. And it is really important as you go on in life and be like where I am, that you use these techniques. Where I left us all off at the beginning of March was having you focus on resilience and grit. And you got to take a free grit, which really focuses on your resilience survey. Mine came out, I think I'm like 70% more. I have more grit than the average population. And given everything I deal with and where I am in life, I'm really happy about that. I was the person when I first was introduced to positive psychology and the impact of thought on my life. I read a book by Marty Seligman called Not What You Can Change, Learned Optimism. That was the book. And I want you to know that I took that test in that book and I got as ticked off as a human could get. Because what it basically told me, which I know to be the truth for me, I am not naturally optimistic. I am a person who has to use the techniques and live my life a certain way to maintain the levels of optimism. That's why I'm so darn comfortable teaching this work because it doesn't come like super easy to me, but I have learned to love the results. And the results then allow me to keep doing the work. So you got a free download of my Don't Die Waiting to Be Brave book. By the time I did this book in 2015, I had really, for me, mastered the art of how simple can we make this? Because darn, you people are making life really hard. We knew that our thoughts influence our mood, that you cannot have a a depressive feeling without first having depressive thoughts. We knew a whole lot of things about perspective and awareness. And we knew that if you could observe, become aware of how you hold beliefs and perspectives, that you would actually be able, through the use of language, change your mood. We knew all of these things. We knew and know that you should not sit on yourself, that if you keep looking back at what you should have done versus what did I learn from the things that maybe I didn't do as well as I wanted to, and how do I use that today to go forward? That, just putting four simple areas of examination. I really wanted you to learn how to tell your high story, otherwise known as your history, in the most succinct, language comforting way possible. Not candy butting it up, but using language that does not inflame you. Because your use of certain language in repeating the stories of the horrors of the past, the losses of the past, the everything of the past that you don't want to be in your present or in your future, is the way you tell the story. And I am not talking about the very first time you tell the story. I'm talking about the 1001st time that you tell the story, and you are still telling the story in a way that is re-embedding how horrible the situation was versus accepting where that information and that experience now fits in your life so that you can move on with your life. So here's what I did. I came up with 4 principles. I only did that because the world likes one, two, three, fours, one, two, three, four, fives. The world seems to think, the world of books and self development books seems to think that we are not fully capable of spending much more time than that. And I'm going to tell you something. If you haven't downloaded the free book yet, and you haven't taken the free resilience grit test yet, there is a little bit of credence to the fact that maybe you don't even do the free and easy stuff. So I will not want to be accused of shaming you and instead direct you to the free copy, the PDF that you have, and think through. As you are thinking through the next set of goals that you want to do, you now have enough information of things that may be percolating in you. And I know for me, over these 90 days so far, I have actually crafted some different goals than I thought that I had even 90 days ago. One of them has just crystallized in the last 90 days, and I was actually waiting for something to do it. And I found a way to start putting the process in place now. And I have to put a plan to it, which is going to be April's stuff for all of us. But so, principle one, change your awareness and your perspective changes. Don't die without observing what you're aware of and where that perspective comes from, and then being able to shift it with the use of language. Don't die principle number two. You teach what you need to learn. This is always one of the most fun ones for me. Think about someone who you know, who you have told 1,000 times how you achieve a goal. And if you really want something, this is what you have to do it. Well, teach what you need to learn is you start listening to the advice that you give others. That way, you actually can put a smile on your face quicker because you remember, one of the ways that this happens for parents and grandparents is when you hear your children say something as they move through every year, and it was some rule or, some, you know, but my mom, one of my moms was lay down with dogs, get up with fleas. And that had to do with the influence of people around me and who I was hanging out with, which is a whole nother story. But it is those types of things when you then start repeating them and you kind of know that there's some credence to that, like that's the whole conversation about raising the vibration. You can only raise as high as the vibration around you, or the stories about the crab pot and how you get pulled down and all of those types of things. So pay attention to yourself. The next one, the don't die principle. You can make excuses or you can achieve your goals, but you cannot do both. Kind of goes back to the second principle when you're really good at giving other people advice, but boy, do you have reasons why you couldn't do the same thing. And then the last one, experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. That don't die principle is one that I've loved a million times over through my life, where I thought I knew exactly what I needed in order to move ahead. And then something else happens. And generally, it was not something that I wanted. Some of the stories that I tell in business, you know, we lost a hotel. We made a 70% return on one hotel, and in the same week lost a hotel that we had turned around and had won the top customer appreciation awards from the corporation that we had the franchise. We were operating this sucker perfectly. I couldn't factor in '08. Didn't even know it was going to happen at the level and the way that it happened. Now, I can go on and on about that. I didn't want that experience. There is no way I wanted to lose that hotel. Interesting. The reason I do things in podcasting, TV, video, wrote books was all because of that hotel. And that's a whole nother story. But the concept that experience is what you get when you don't get what you want is just another way for you to look at what are those high stories that you are telling that are potentially at this month holding you back, or this moment holding you back from really creating bigger goals in your life. Now, I tell you a million times what my age is. So I'm 69 years old. So setting physical goals may seem weird, but I will tell you that it is fun for me to set a goal. And I did it from the time I was 40, where I always wanted my body and my physical fitness level, the stats that go with it, to be 10 years younger than my actual age. And now I'm going to try and change some of those stats in the next year in a positive way. Not, it's really easy to do it negatively, by the way, but no, in a positive way. Why do I want that? I personally like taking care of myself. It is something that I really do live, that adage that I will take care of me for you if you take care of you for me. Taking care of myself, and I do have good DNA, and I don't do anything to screw it up, but you never know what's going to happen. Way healthier people than me die instantly. I know that. That's why my title of my books are Don't Die, and I have the trademark, even though that guy is trying to steal it and use it in his work. No names, no names. In the moment, it is if you lived every second as though you weren't going to die without doing it right, if you could find that in you, all of these techniques and skills and lists and thoughts would come together so much easier. And know that when I have the word ageless edge, my ability to live at this point in life with all the varying landscapes, a lot of stuff changes. I don't hear as well. I don't drive as well at night. I don't do a lot of things as well. I also don't care because I can feel really good about myself regardless of how things change. And that's the ageless edge aspect of it. If you can start teaching yourself that in your 30s, in your 40s, getting used to each one of those changes and looking at it and saying, am I being lazy about this? Like, am I giving in? Or is this something that the quicker I accept this is the way this is at this moment, I can live in the moment that much better? The whole concept of don't die was about living in the moment, not about trying not to die. You hear me say that all the time. So I already have the dates for April. I wish at this moment I could remember them, but I don't have them written down in front of me, so I don't have that. What I want you to know is that there will be 2 videos that will come out. You will know the dates ahead of time in case you actually want to get on the call. This time I chose to do this ahead of time because it just worked for my convenience and no one had DM'd me a whole day in advance. So I just decided to do it to my convenience. And, you know, should someone DM me that they were going to get on the call, I would figure out how to get on a call with them because this work is important for you to do for you. Clearly, you're not paying me any money. So you don't have to worry about that aspect of it. But doing the work for yourself is what this is all about. I am Andrea Goeglein. I really appreciate thoughtful comments and know that I will respond. And I hope you finally download your free book and finally read through it quickly enough. I mean, it is a really quick read so that you can start crafting your story of resilience and grit through these four principles that I've laid out. Have an incredible end of this month, and I look forward to seeing you in month 4. Thank you.